Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? I forgot to unmute my mic. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. It is 1 o'clock on the books right now. Thank you so much once again, each and every single one of you guys, for joining up on a Friday in the late afternoon of Friday, if you can even believe that. It is the Luke Boyd Show. Welcome in. Thank you so much, every single one of you guys, for joining. I really appreciate all of you guys for doing so. Um, You guys are awesome. Um, before we get into everything in terms of what I'll be covering for today, which is mainly just going to be the recap from yesterday and previews into games for today across the entire board, and hopefully just a little bit of some key games going into the weekend. Um, we'll kind of get into some of that here in just a little bit. But before we do, um, I would just like to ask you if all of you guys would like to join me in a little prayer real quick. And then we'll just kick this off and get going. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord Jesus, I'd like to thank you once again for another beautiful Friday. Thank you for giving us another day. I'd like to ask for guidance not only for myself, but for the um, viewers in the audience that are listening to this show. Um, Guide them not only throughout today, but throughout the rest of this weekend. Um, Guide their interactions, guide their thoughts, guide their words, and just bless them throughout today and throughout this weekend. Hopefully, it's going to be a great day and a great weekend for them, especially with Halloween being today, and uh, bless their trick or treating as they go out later tonight. As we pray, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. In the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you so much, each and every one of you guys, for joining me on this. Um, yeah, let's just kind of get into it, shall we? Don't really have a ton of lead in into this first part of the show. We're going to be covering to start the Thursday night football game. Um, just coming out of NFL, there's a lot of other news coming out of this game, and kind of as expected, especially from the Dolphins aspect of this, just because Miami's not doing too great to start out the season, and their head coach has been there for a few seasons now. Um, But unfortunately, it sounds like um, from the standpoint of the Dolphins, it looks like they're probably parting ways with with the GM. So it's not good news for the Dolphins. But anyhow, getting back into um, the rest of what was going on from last night, Lamar Jackson first game back coming off of an injury that took him out for about 4 weeks, and he did not disappoint. I definitely, once again, kind of predicted the score wrong on this one. Go figure. But I kind of wasn't expecting Lamar Jackson to throw for 4 touchdowns. Um, he went 18 of 23 for 204 yards in terms of his passing. He did get sacked twice, but to no avail for the Baltimore Ravens as they end up notching the win um, in Miami. Uh, through to Charlie Collar for a touchdown, through to Mark Andrews for a couple of touchdowns, and to Rashad Bateman. Um, but yeah, I just wasn't expecting Lamar Jackson to have himself almost a field day um, against the Dolphins. It was, I mean, granted the Dolphins only scored a couple of field goals, but I mean, Tua did throw for more yards, but I mean, when you only have 87 rushing yards as a team, you're, I mean, the defense is going to pick that apart every single day. So that's kind of huge. And it looks like turnover ratio also in favor of the Ravens as well. So that's another um, big loss from the Dolphins. Wow, even though they had pretty much even in terms of how many first downs they achieved, that was probably later in the game, so that's probably why that's close. But third down to fourth down efficiency gets in favor of the Ravens. Um, total plays in favor of the Dolphins? That doesn't make any sense. But time of possession in favor of Ravens. Um, turnovers in favor of Ravens. So, um, yeah, just another big, I mean, kind of a key, huge win for the Ravens here, though, because you start out in this game 2-5. You're looking like you, as a Ravens team, you don't really know how, like, what this team as a whole is going to be midway through the season, and then you come out in this game and then you just kind of pop off. Like, it's it's really, yeah, I just didn't really expect a runaway game for the Ravens coming basically into the second half for this game. Um, yeah, it was basically a must win for one of these teams, and one of them just took advantage of it and just went with it. Um, we'll get more, but yeah, with that, the final score ended up being 28-6 in favor of the Ravens um, to finish out the night. So kudos, um, kudos to the Ravens for finding a way. Um, anyhow, looking, yeah, that's enough of, yeah, that's kind of enough of that review from last night. As we kind of get into, um, I guess before we get into the other games, I'll kind of just give you guys a preview into the weekend for the NFL, and kind of my predictions going into mainly Sunday. We'll talk about Monday Night Football um, come Monday between the Cardinals and the Cowboys. Depending on how this weekend goes, I might end up changing my decision in terms of how well that game's going to go. But we'll see. Um, starting off, you got a open window slate. You got a lot of key games. I think the one to watch for the most. I don't think. I don't think the Patriots and the Falcons are going to be one to watch for the most part, but I would say the Bears and the Bengals, mainly because both of these teams, if I remember correctly, they are one. The Bears are over 500. The Bengals are 3-5. So this one's going to be kind of like a key. Um, um, I mean, I would say a must win for the Bears in this one, but for the Bengals, this could be like a. Um, I, I I don't really know what to say for the Bengals, but I think it also is a must win for both these teams coming into this game on Sunday. So keep a lookout for that one. I would say for the San Francisco and the Giants coming into this weekend, um, I'm predicting the score is going to be close, but um, depending on injuries and stuff like that, and how well Jackson Dart plays, or if he plays, um, this might this might end up being more in favor of the Giants coming into Sunday, but we'll see. Um, I mean, we've also seen San Francisco with a beat up squad end up winning against. Um, I can't remember. I can't remember the team off the top of my head, but it was it was kind of a mediocre team too. So who knows? But anyhow, um, yeah, I just can't remember the team off the top of my head. But anyhow, another this might actually be closer than I'm kind of predicting, especially if the Steelers defense is playing lights out. Um, they might not. The Colts might not actually score 44 points. They might still win this game, but I don't think they're going to be scoring 44 points, and I probably shouldn't have put 44 points to begin with, but who knows? The Colts have just been on fire lately, so that might be uh, that might be a good pick. Not a good score prediction though. Chargers and the Titans. Um, I would expect the Chargers to win this game coming out of Sunday, but um, I mean, look to the Titans to try to at least make it decently close. I don't. If the Chargers don't play well, look to it to be close. But if the Chargers end up playing as good as I think their potential is going to be, they might end up actually scoring more than 24 points this weekend. So um, it kind of remains to be seen in terms of what my scores for all of these games are looking like. But you know, who knows? Um, interdivision matchup coming into this weekend. That's the Vikings and the Lions. This game might be a lot closer than I have predicted it. So, if anything, this might be a 23-24 or a 27-28. I'm thinking the Lions are going to probably win this game. J.J. McCarthy, from what I've heard, is probably going to be back, but I don't believe that that's going to be enough for me to really sway it one way or the other in terms of the Vikings pulling off a win in Detroit. Um, but we'll see. Interdivision matchups have typically been in favor of the away team over the past, um, especially when you look at the NFC West teams in particular. Like it very, very fortunately somehow favors the away team. I don't know how or why, but the away team seems to come up on top most of the time. So um, who knows? Minnesota might be able to find a way. Anyhow, moving on, Carolina into Green Bay. This one is probably not going to be one to watch. Um, just, I mean, it's probably going to be a kickoff, and then Green Bay's going to have the edge all the way through. Um, we'll see what happens, but I'd be willing to bet you Jordan Love is going to be popping off this weekend. So um, look to Green Bay to be having fun this weekend and be a high scoring game for Green Bay. Moving on into Denver and Houston. Um, Denver's going into Houston. I believe this is also an interdivision matchup. I believe. Let me just look at the standings real quick. Um, It is not. It is interconference though, so this is going to be a key. Um, this is going to be a key game when it comes to dictating whether or not who's potentially going to be into a wild card spot. Especially since both of these teams have not. They've been well. Excuse me. I take that back. This is going to be a key game for the Broncos to stay up top of their division. A key game for Houston to try to see if they can try to get that edge over some of the teams if they're trying to look to get into that wild card spot. So both these teams are um, looking to play big, but I think Bo Nix is probably going to have that edge um, on the Houston Texans and um, play like he typically has over these past couple of weeks. But um, we'll see come Sunday that is if that goes into full fruition. Next game after that ends up being into the later window of the day. Um, the Saints coming into the Rams, and yeah, I don't really think this one's going to be much of a game, if I'm going to be honest with you. Um, it's going to be hard to. Um, I mean, the Saints just have not been playing well this year. I think they've only won like one game this season. Yeah, so they're 1-7. I mean, it's it's been a rough season for the Saints, and they got another rough team that they're gonna have to try to beat on the road. It's not looking great for the Saints, especially when you got Matthew Stafford, I believe, is the quarterback for the Rams, who's been playing well. I wouldn't say Stafford's been playing lights out, but he's definitely been playing well for the Rams here. So look to look to the Rams to just try to blow the hat off on the Saints here this weekend. Especially they're at home. Since they're at home, they don't want to upset their home fans. So um, they're probably going to come into this game and just shut the door on the Saints quickly. Um, they'll also kicking off in the later window. Jacksonville and the Raiders. Um, both of these teams have been inconsistent. So this is one of those games that I want to say is going to be close if they both play well. Um, but I mean Trevor Lawrence hasn't been particularly great. Um, and for the Raiders, I mean Pete Carroll's trying to create like an older like Seahawks team in the Vegas Raiders, so it's like I mean who knows exactly how the Raiders are going to play this weekend, especially at home. I mean, fingers crossed. I'm totally rooting for Pete Carroll in this, but like if it was just as good as how it was in Seattle, I mean this one's probably not going to go in the Raiders' favor in terms of like I mean maybe the guys are going to stay healthy. That whole that whole scenario is going to be what remains to be seen, but it just I mean I don't think the I don't think the Raiders are going to come out on top, but I could be wrong. This I mean that one to me is kind of a toss up and one that I'll probably lose this weekend, but um, yeah, that one's um, yeah, that one's going to be one to either watch for a few minutes or if both these teams are not playing great, it's going to be like what the heck is happening with this game. So we'll see what happens there. Um, Later kickoff, not Sunday night football, but the later window in terms of, I guess, the last kickoff before Sunday night football ends up being a key matchup between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes coming into Buffalo, and main reason why I say this is a key matchup is because a lot of people are saying that the two quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, are in the MVP race. I don't think either of these quarterbacks are having, in a sense, an MVP caliber season so far. I would give hats off to um, the New England Patriots and Drake May and the Indianapolis Colts and Daniel Jones, but who knows? this weekend could prove me wrong, especially with both these teams basically clashing together and just going at it in Buffalo. So this one is going to be a huge game to watch outside of the Detroit um, Vikings game, just because it's interconference. So yeah, it's interconference. I mean, the Chiefs didn't start out the season very well, but they've been playing lights out for the past couple of weeks. Um, so who knows what's going to happen? I'm I'm pulling for the Bills, but if the Chiefs are playing lights out and the Bills don't come into this game with their hair on fire, like this this game could very easily go into the Chiefs' favor and just completely end this game very quickly. But don't count out the Bills if they are down by a couple scores either coming into the second half, because they can find a way. Um, you know, we've seen it in past seasons, but they can also um, find a way to at least make a comeback, if not try to win this game. So this one might also be a game where, in terms of the pick that I have going into this weekend, might also flip into Buffalo's favor coming out of the weekend. So we'll see. Um, and then final game on Sunday Night Football is going to be Seattle going into Washington. I believe Jaden Daniels is going to be playing this weekend. Let me double check that to be sure. But I want to say Jaden Daniels is going to be playing tonight or that night. Yes, it looks like Jane Daniels is going to be playing. They do have a couple of key guys out on the defensive end, but because it's on prime time, I'm predicting this one to be a little bit close. Um, but if Seattle ends up playing lights out in Washington, look to Seattle to end up winning this game. Um, but I don't know. I think Jane Daniels, man, as a coming up quarterback and soon to be superstar for the Commanders, man, like this is a key game for both teams, especially since it's an interdivision or excuse me, interconference matchup, excuse me, and could dictate for both of these teams if in the latter portion of the season could dictate whether or not either one of these teams could make it into the playoffs based off of who wins this game. So huge matchup there. Um, but yeah, um, I'd be willing to bet Seattle or sorry, not Seattle. If Seattle plays well, my pick's probably wrong. If the Commanders are just torching Seattle's defense, then you know Commanders are probably going to walk away with a win very easily in this one. Um, if Seattle doesn't, come in and play well, so that finishes off that conversation. Um, moving on into the NBA slate from yesterday, um, had a couple of key games. Let me just kind of do this in terms of the scores from last night. I made sure to save all the changes. I don't really change too much of my description. Okay. So moving into um, the picks that I had from last night, I ended up going 3-1. My only miss was Orlando Magic beating the Charlotte Hornets. I was not expecting that. But also, I kind of have also kind of underestimated Orlando for a little bit, especially last night. Orlando doesn't play today, and I can't look at November 1st up top. But anyhow, um, yeah, Charlotte ended up falling short. I ended up predicting Thunder and the Spurs correctly, and I also predicted the Bucks sort of. Giannis did not end up playing last night, so I was kind of expecting the Warriors to win if Giannis was not playing. But this this is the Warriors and Clippers highlights, ESPN. What are we doing here? Um, but I mean, I was not expecting Ryan Rollins to pop off. Like he ended the night after 36 minutes with 32 points, 3 boards, 8 assists, only 1 turnover, but 13 and 21 from the field, 5 of 7 from three. Like he was shooting dang near lights out last night, 71% from the 3-point land. Like huge night from Ryan Rollins as Giannis was not in. Like I was expecting the Warriors to, I wouldn't say kind of walk away, but find a way to win without the Bucks having Giannis. But I mean, yeah, look at it at the end of the day, like that was not the case. Um, Other starters that scored pretty well for the Bucks. Miles Turner, after 29 minutes of play, ended the night with 17 points, 7 boards, 3 assists, 1 block, excuse me. 7 of 12 from the field, 3 of 6 from three. So uh, good old 50% from three. Um, Kyle Kuzma ended up getting the start. Gary Trent Jr. and AJ Green. Um, Coming off the bench, top scorer for the Bucks after 21 minutes of play was Cole Anthony, who had 16 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 7 of 15 from the field, 2 of 7 from three. So a huge contribution as they notch up the win. Um, Starters for the Golden State Warriors are probably going to be the starters for the majority of the season, barring injuries from these players. Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Quentin Post, and Steph Curry. Um, Steph Curry, your usual top scorer, and the night after 35 points with 27 points, 6 boards, 4 assists, 1 steal. Um, did not shoot well at all, except for the charity stripe. He ended the night with 8 of 19 from the field, 4 of 10 from three, and 7 of 8 from the charity stripe. So, not a good accuracy night from Steph Curry, but he still ended up leading his team in terms of points. So, um, John, or excuse me, next couple of guys that ended up scoring just as good. Um, as Steph Curry ended up being Jonathan Kuminga and Jimmy Butler. Um, JK ended the night after 34 minutes of play with 24 points, 8 boards, 4 assists, one block, excuse me. Um, 7 of 11 from the field and 8 of 8 from the charity stripe. So, I mean, could have given that guy the ball more last night. He probably would have made some more shots and could have outscored Curry that night. Um, but to no avail. What the heck are these highlights in the top right? Anyhow, um, not really a top scorer coming off the bench for Golden State. Um, Jimmy Butler ended the night with a double double, though. Um, After 37 minutes of play, ended up with 23 points, 11 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 7 of 18 from the field, 1 of 2 from three, and 8 of 8 from the charity stripe. So very solid contribution. Um, Even though the final score ended up being the Bucks getting the win and notching the win, um, 120 to 110, the final in Milwaukee. Um, as a Warriors just fall short in this one, even though they, in my personal opinion, they probably should have found a way. But you know, oh well, it's only one game, um, so we'll see how well the rest of the season goes for the Warriors. But I don't think that's going to be a defining moment, in my personal opinion. Um, it could have been one that they could have taken advantage on, but long season ahead, so we'll see what happens there. Um, let's see. Next key game to that I'm going to talk about just because of the fact that um, the Spurs are just as on a roll as the Thunder right now. We'll be talking about the Chicago Bulls and the New York Knicks here later on too, and I think the Bulls, the Spurs, and the Thunder are very easily the top three teams in the league right now. Because if there are certain teams that are going to be going up against these teams, they're going to be circled as a hey, let's see if we could try to um, give these teams a loss for a potential first loss of the season. Unfortunately, the Heat did not do that last night. Um, as Bam Adebayo was the top scorer for the Miami Heat. Other starters that contributed pretty well. Andrew Wiggins ended the night after 34 or 35 minutes of play with 24 points, 6 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, 11 of 18 from the field, um, 2 of uh, 205 from the 3-point land. Did not do well from the charity stripe, unfortunately. Welcome in, Charlotte. Thank you for joining the stream. I appreciate you hopping in. I don't know if you're still in or not, but anyhow, um, appreciate you. I'm trying to like flip back and forth through like all of the streams that I'm casting to just to make sure that they're all live. So anyhow, um, Bam Adebayo, like I kind of said earlier, was a top scorer from the Heat. Ended the night after 37 minutes of play with 31 points, 10 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 12 of 27 from the field, 4 of 13 from 3, 3 of 4 from the charity stripe. So huge night from him as he ended up being the top scorer. For the Heat, top guy coming off the bench for the Miami Heat ended up being Simone Fonte Fontecchio. I think that's how you say his last name. I do apologize if that's not how you say his last name. Um, but he ended the night after 28 point or after 28 points after 28 minutes of play, and the night with 18 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, no steals or blocks, but 5 of 9 from the field, 5 of 7 from 3, and 3 of 3 from the charity stripe. So um, big night from Simone, even though they didn't notch out the win. Um, the Spurs, man, they're having some fun, especially when they're in Frostbank Center in San Antonio. Um, Victor Wembanyama, man, he had a double double once again tonight. And I've seen his stat line, and it's pretty crazy. I don't know if it's entirely true or not, but I saw something on social media that has Victor Wembanyama after like 120 games or something like that with some crazy stat lines. Like, I don't know, some people are already hinting at if he keeps this up, he's a potential um, GOAT conversation um, potential, I guess. Um, but after 40 minutes of play from last night, he ended the night with a double double, 27 points, 18 boards, 6 assists, 1 steal, 5 blocks, with in terms of his shooting accuracy, 10 of 23 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3, and 6 of 8 from the charity stripe. So not a solid 3-point shooting, but I mean, as a big, you can't really blame him for not having a solid um, 3-point shooting night. Um, so who knows what that all is going to look like for him. Um, but yeah, another big night from him. Um, Next key contributor from the Spurs as they notched up the win was Stephon Castle after 35 minutes of play. Ended the night with 21.6 boards, 8 assists, 4 steals, 1 block, 7 of 12 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 5 of 7 from the charity stripe. So a huge contribution last night from Stephon Castle. Um, Devin Vassell had a good night as well, just shy of a double double. He was 1 board away from that actually. After 37 minutes of play, he had 17 points, 9 boards, 1 assist, 1 block. Not a solid accuracy night from him, but even still found a way to contribute in other ways to where he almost notched up a double double. So that's huge, huge win for the Spurs as well. Um, Top scorer coming off the bench ended up being Dylan Harper after 25 minutes of play into the night with 13 points, 2 boards, 4 assists. No steals or blocks, but a still solid accuracy night from in terms of shooting. 5 of 10 from the field, 2 of 5 from three, 1 of 2 from the charity stripe. So looks like he had like maybe 1 or 2 trips to the charity stripe and cashed in on one. Um, but ultimately, it's the Spurs that end up getting the win. 107-101 the final score in San Antonio, and it looks like it was kind of a back and forth game from both teams all the way through. Um, Spurs ended up outscoring the Heat 43-48 in the second half as Spurs get the win and stay undefeated to start out the season. Um, yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna take a second and catch my breath real quick. There's a lot of information that I was just kind of throwing out there, but um, looking into tonight's games, it looks like 2 of them are going to be on Prime Video. That's the Boston Celtics against the Philadelphia 76ers. Um, excuse me, I'm just a little tired today. Um, I've had a very busy week, chat or ladies and gentlemen. So please don't mind me with yawning, or I apologize if I am yawning a lot. Um, I don't really mean to. I'm just trying to do what I can, try to give you guys as much information as possible. Um, but as you can kind of see, I'm looking through. Did I hit start? Okay, I did hit start recording. Okay, good. What are we doing here? Oh, let's go. Appreciate the emotes. Um, oh, what am I doing? I'm kind of dumb right now. Okay. Um, anyhow, the 2 games that are going to be on Prime Video, the first one that kicks off at right around 4 o'clock, the Celtics against the 76ers. And then the game to follow up that in terms of tip off is going to be the Lakers that are traveling into Memphis. Um, as you can kind of see, for those of you on visual, for those of you on audio that can't see it though, I'm gonna just kind of break it down for you. Atlanta Hawks are going to be going into Indiana. Indiana has not been playing well, which is why I'm kind of hedging my bets that the Hawks are going to be winning this game tonight. Um, excuse me. With certain key guys out coming into this game for the Boston Celtics going into the 76ers, if Joel Embiid plays well tonight, look to the 76ers to probably win this game tonight. Otherwise, I think the Boston Celtics are probably going to notch the win in Philadelphia, even with certain guys going to be out for Boston coming into tonight. I think I'll get into a little bit more of the injury status here in just 1 second. Once I get into a bigger breakdown, but I'm predicting the Celtics to win tonight. You got Toronto going into Cleveland. Cleveland has also proven me wrong in terms of whether or not they're going to play well. So I'm kind of rooting for Cleveland to kind of come into this game and try to continue to have a chip on their shoulder from last season, trying to um, continue to make a statement coming into this season, and um, hopefully they can notch out a win tonight in Cleveland against Toronto. Next game that's going to be tipping off later, half an hour later after that, is going to be the Knicks going into Chicago. My personal opinion, I think the Knicks have um, way too many injuries, if you will. Um, And even if they do play um, certain guys that are on their injury status roster, they're not going to be healthy coming into this game. And from my knowledge and what I know, Chicago um, has a lot of key guys that aren't injured that are probably also going to keep the entire train rolling as they are undefeated coming into this game. So look to Chicago to try to keep that winning streak going. Um, as I'm predicting that they're going to be notching the win tonight in at home in Chicago. Um, Lakers and Memphis, as I kind of mentioned before, is also going to be kicking off later tonight, or tipping off later tonight. Excuse me, my terminology is kind of off today too. My goodness, but anyhow, Lakers going into Memphis. Um, Look to Austin Reeves to have another huge night. If anything, I think Austin Reeves is from what we've seen from the first 5 games of this season, if if it continues tonight, I would be willing to bet that Austin Reeves is wanting to make a case for himself to be wanting to put himself into that category of we're going to be talking MVP caliber from Austin Reeves the entire season, especially if Luka Doncic is out tonight, which we'll kind of get a little bit more into a breakdown from this game in particular later on. But I think if Luka Doncic in particular is out tonight, Austin Reeves is going to be wanting to, continue that streak of wanting to make a case for himself, um, coming into this game especially. So, um, yeah, him and look to other key contributors from the Lakers as well. I think Rui, Rui Hachimura, Dalton Connect, and a couple other key guys that I can't remember in terms of the names off the top of my head, but we'll get into more of the breakdown um, later later on here. Um, Moving on to to the other predictions in terms of the later window of tonight. Utah Jazz going into the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix Suns, in my opinion, have not been playing well coming into this game or coming into this season, rather. And I think if they're wanting to use this game as like a defining moment for them, they're going to try to find a win or try to find a way to win this game. And if not, they look to Lauri Markkanen to, find a way to help the Jazz kind of push the edge over the Phoenix Suns because just the Suns have not been playing well. Um, Also in the later window that gets tipping off at 7, Denver going into Portland. Portland also hasn't been playing very well. You also got Damian Lillard, who's still going to be nursing that Achilles injury, who isn't going to be in. So look to Nikola Jokic and the squad from Denver to probably just run away with um, with the victory in Portland. Um, and then the last game to tip off later tonight, the Pelicans coming into LA and face the Clippers. Look to James Harden and the crew to, um, I wouldn't say entirely run away with a win in this one, but they're definitely going to try to make a statement in this one because I wouldn't say this is technically a must win for the Clippers, but this could be a defining moment in terms of what type of team we're looking at in terms of the Clippers so far this season. Granted, it's early, not even not even a full 10 games into the season, but a lot of these teams are within the first 5 6 games are already trying to set that edge in terms of making a name for their team as a whole in terms of what is going to be looking like come the middle of the season, come the later stages of the season. So um, I would say look to the Clippers to try to continue that streak. Um, my day's going all right. Yeah, I got you. I got you. I'll respond to you as soon as I finish up the show here. Just got to break down um, everything here. So give me just a few minutes to um, break this down here. Kind of like I said earlier, one of the games that's going to be kicking off on Prime. It looks like Jason Tatum is going to be the only player that's out for the Boston Celtics, um, which is very, very good news for the Celtics. Um, even though Tatum's going to be out, I think especially with not having guys on the injury roster for tonight is going to look very good for the Celtics. You look at the 76ers, if I can scroll down any faster than I'm going right now, they got a couple of guys, a couple of key guys actually out. I think they were expecting Paul George to play tonight, but it looks like there's a possibility he might not. Um, well, let me just refresh this page real quick because I don't think I did that. Okay. Paul George is out for tonight, and it looks like they also have Jared McCain out and Dominic Barlow. So with that in mind, even though they're predicting the 76ers to win this game, I'm definitely expecting Tyrese Maxey to have himself a night like usual, but I don't think that's going to be enough to set the edge in terms of them winning tonight's game. I mean, yes, they did play earlier to start the season and won by 1 point against the Celtics, but look to the Celtics to try to um, come basically come back in this game, and it looks like it's an NBA Cup game as well, according to the top of the page. So look to the court to be a little bit different for tonight if you guys are watching on Prime Video later today. Um, and also, um, yeah, just oh yeah, that was an overtime win too, huh? Or no? Because the Sixers. Okay, never mind. Maybe that wasn't. Maybe that wasn't an overtime win. Or maybe the last game that the Sixers played ended up being a overtime win against somebody that I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyhow, um, Celtics and 76ers on Prime Video, tipping off here probably as soon as I get off the show or um, shut off the stream here. Um, should be yeah, should be a good game between them for sure. Another key matchup that isn't going to be on TV, but I think it's a key matchup mainly for the Bulls to try to keep their winning streak alive. I think it's going to be a good one. Um, in all fairness, they got a lot of key game time decisions for the New York Knicks, but I don't think that's going to be enough to set the edge in terms of the Knicks winning this game. Yeah, Luka Doncic is out. That's unfortunate. But like it, yeah, we'll get more to that breakdown here in a little bit. Kobe White and Zach Collins out for the Bulls. Cavs completely playing for you, running and getting shots up at practice. So November 4th looks like to be the estimated return for Kobe White. Collins will be sidelined for at least 4 weeks due to wrist fracture. I think we kind of already talked about this earlier this week. So November 16th is his estimated return date. Let's see. Let's go down to the Knicks real quick. And it looks like all these guys are expected to return today. Yabusele, Carl Anthony Towns, and Mitchell Robinson. Um, Yabusele is probable for tonight's game. Same with Carl Anthony Towns. Yabusele has a knee injury that he's nursing. Carl Anthony Towns has a quadriceps injury, also probable. Um, and then it looks like Mitchell Robinson is questionable for tonight's game against the Bulls. Um, even though the status is saying out, it remains to be seen. But yeah, look to the Knicks to still probably play well and keep this a close game. I would say this is probably going to be a close game, especially, um, well, not only because it's NBA Cup play, but you got an undefeated team who's wanting to keep that winning streak going. And then you also got the Knicks who are coming into this game with a lot of key injuries starting out the season. Um, Jalen Brunson is probably looking to have himself a night as well, so that's going to be huge if he does. Um, I mean, they think the Knicks have the edge. I don't know, and maybe it's just a little bit of biasy going towards the team that's undefeated in this game, but I I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what happens later today, but I think I'm sticking with my pick in terms of I think the Bulls are going to be winning this game. Um, in the United States, in the United Center, in Chicago. Um, moving on to the later window, but is there a lot of NBA? Are all these games today NBA Cup games? Is that why? Is that why all of them are even playing today? Oh my gosh, they are. Interesting. Interesting. So, I mean, I guess I could probably break down all the latter, all the other games as well, just because of the fact that um, they're all NBA Cup games. So they're not only not only is the win important, but in terms of the win differential, that one's also going to be important. So, um, yeah, I don't think that that's correct. I think Austin Reeves, um, even with the injuries, I think Austin Reeves is going to find a way to have himself a night. I mean, if you look at the injuries for um, the Lakers tonight, they got a lot of key injuries, but oh my gosh, where are you? There you are. My goodness. Um, let's see. Upgraded to. I mean, it looks like Doncic is probable for tonight. Um, and it looks like Marcus Smart is potentially going to play tonight. We'll see. Um, but in all fairness, regardless of whether these guys are in or not, I mean, Austin Reeves is probably going to have himself a night tonight. Marcus Smart might have himself a night as well, especially coming off of an injury. He's probably going to pop off you know, um, as he kind of did with the Celtics, but who knows? I mean, him as a Laker, it might be a little bit different, but we'll see. They downgraded Thyro down to the G League. Uh, LeBron James is still out. Cleaver is still out. I think we kind of covered Cleaver earlier in the week. And then we kind of covered Vincent as well. But yeah, unfortunate for Thyro, dude. Like, you, you hate to see it. You hate to see it. You want to be pulling for guys that are going to be doing very well, but and then and then looking at the injuries from the Grizzlies, you got Gigi Jackson questionable tonight with a illness, and other than that, no other updates. I mean, Zach Edey. Oh my gosh. Okay, but that's from September, so looks like his return is going to be hopefully soon. Fingers crossed. Um, But I guess that's probably one of the other reasons why the Grizzlies haven't been doing too well is because they're solely relying on John Morant to win games for them. But anyways, looked at this game to also be close, especially um, especially if you got the key guys that I was kind of talking about earlier, Luka Doncic and Marcus Smart. If both those guys play and kind of pop off, this might not actually be a close game because if you got 3 stars for the Lakers playing well against basically 1 star in John Morant, let me see what other stars before I kind of um, make a rational decision. You got KCP, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Jalen Wells. I mean, and then Jacques Landale. I think that's how you say his name. But anyhow, um, yeah, I mean KCP might have himself a night, but I think he's getting older, isn't he? He's been in the league for a while, hasn't he? He's 32. Oh wow, he's kind of younger than I thought he was. He has been in the league for a while though, I think. Yeah, yeah. Because I remember when he was with the Lakers for 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, so he's been in the league for a while. But yeah, he's probably gonna have himself a decent contribution for the Grizzlies tonight. John Morant's probably gonna pop off and show out. Um, probably I would predict that probably your top scorers for the night are probably gonna be um, John Morant. I Yeah, you know what? I think Austin Reeves is also going to be the top scorer for the Lakers tonight, even if Luka Doncic plays. Um, yeah, they're also both 3-2 coming into this game tonight, so um, they got three, and it looks like they got a 3-game series coming into the season. So there's going to be more matchups. Um, yeah, there's going to be more matchups with both of these teams playing against each other um, later on in the season. So first matchup between both of them tonight, and it's going to be in Memphis. So we'll see how well that goes. And I think I think Austin Reeves is going to want to start, kind of pulling away in terms of conversation. Um, and it looks like I better get into a prediction for this here pretty soon because I'm getting a bunch of notifications for the World Series. Hawks and Pacers. I don't know. This game might not even be close, but who knows? Maybe Pascal Siakam's gonna pop off for him. I don't know. And then uh, wow, also NBA Cup group play. Um, Denver Nuggets coming into the Trailblazers. I mean, the Denver Nuggets only have one loss so far. Um, but in my personal opinion, especially with how many um, Jamal Murray is a game time decision. Um, but there in my opinion, um, for this game in particular, I think Denver's going to be walking away with this just because Nikola Jokic is still playing and healthy. You got Aaron Gordon who's still playing and healthy. Um, I mean, Jamal Murray might not be healthy, but he might still, contribute a lot to the team for tonight, even though he's a game time decision. Cameron Johnson's also a game time decision, but he's probably going to play very well. Or if he doesn't play tonight, unfortunate, but look to Tim Hardaway Jr. and Christian Braun to kind of pick up the slack. Um, but I mean, Nikola Jokic might end up with a triple double again tonight. I'm just gonna say that right now. He's probably gonna end up with another triple double. We'll see. Um, but yeah, um, I don't think I don't think the Trailblazers are gonna have enough to notch a win at home, but who knows? This might end up going in the Blazers' favor later tonight, so we'll see. Um, but yeah, late night windows, the Clippers and the Pelicans. Oh, and the Pelicans have yet to find a win. That's unfortunate. Um, let's see. Oh boy, moving on. Um, I've been kind of over 5 now with this World Series. Man, if I end up getting a win tonight in terms of a prediction, it's gonna mean that the Blue Jays end up winning the World Series. So I don't have a ton of um, I guess information, if you will. I think this one's still kind of like a toss up between both teams. You got Yamamoto versus Gosman tonight in terms of the pitching matchup. Um, I guess to my knowledge as well, um, from what I've been seeing in like social media and stuff like that, it sounds like the this is the first time ever in MLB history where the season is going to start and end outside of the U.S. Um, just because Game 6 and 7 are going to be in Toronto, and opening day was in Japan. I can't remember the stadium or the ballpark off the top of my head, but yeah, it's going to be in this game's going to be in Rogers Center in Toronto. You got Yamamoto versus Kevin Gosman. Um, yeah, I this is in my. I mean, obviously it's a must win for the Dodgers because I mean if they lose, then that means that the Blue Jays end up becoming World Series champs, and um, Dodgers don't look for that back to back that they were kind of hoping for. Um, but who knows? Um, while we're at it, the um, if the Blue Jays don't end up winning and it ends up going into a game 7, I mean, I think it's still just a toss up. I think both game 6 and 7 are just a toss up between both these teams. Um, Granted, the Blue Jays have won the last two, so I'd be willing to bet that the Dodgers are going to try to find a way to win the next two straight. Because it went Blue Jays, then Dodgers to win two, and the Blue Jays to win two. So yeah, I don't know. I'd be willing to bet that it's probably going to be the Dodgers that win the next two, or I don't know. I don't know. I'm sticking with my pick tonight, though. I think the Toronto Blue Jays are going to end up winning the World Series tonight, um, and we'll see what happens from here on out. Um, but other than that, I don't think I really have any other um, information today that I really want to cover. Um, or you know what? Let me look at the weekend schedule for um, the NBA and see what key games I want to cover. Um, just because I won't be able to cover really any of them until Sunday. Um, you got you got the Kings going into Milwaukee. You got Minnesota going into Charlotte. You got Golden State into the Pacers. Rockets against Boston. That might actually be a good matchup going into the weekend, just because both these teams are good teams going against each other. It's going to be in TD Garden in Boston. Um, but depending on It's back-to-back games for Boston, so who knows how well they're gonna play in terms of back-to-back games like that. Um, but I'd be willing to bet that Boston might find a way in Houston. We'll see what happens later tonight, but um, I'll be making more predictions over the weekend. If you follow me on my socials, I'll try to excuse me, if you follow the Luke Boyd show on the socials, I'll be posting over the weekend in terms of predictions, um, especially for this. And then Sunday, you got the Pelicans coming into Oklahoma City. You got Philadelphia going into Brooklyn, so not really a key matchup from those two. Jazz against Charlotte, that might be a good one. Atlanta and the Cavaliers, that might also be a good one. Though Cleveland, I think, might run away from it because I think there's enough stars on Cleveland that they might set the edge. Um, Chicago against New York. Wait, is that a back to back? Oh my gosh, that is. It's a back to back Chicago versus New York matchup in terms of the Knicks. That's crazy. San Antonio versus the Suns. That's not really going to be much of a matchup, in my opinion. And then, well, at least as of right now, anyway, that's not really much of a matchup, in my opinion. I think the Spurs are going to keep their winning streak going with that one. And then you got Miami going into the Lakers. That might be a big matchup on Sunday, um, as it's going to be right around Sunday Night Football. So, um, with that, give me just like 30 seconds, chat. I'm going to be right back. Um, don't go anywhere. I got to take a little bit of a break real quick, so I'll be right back. Alright, sorry about that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for sticking around if you have. While we're at it, before I get into any more other stuff, if you are on other platforms, Twitch, YouTube, um, please, if you can, head on over to Rumble because Rumble is your one stop shop for not only myself but all other um, political commentators, other stuff like that. Um, Also, it's basically the main kind of platform that I'm kind of like streaming off of. Even though I am multicasting to all these other platforms, I don't have 110% confidence that all the other ones are going to stay up and live. So, um, for those of you that are sticking around on all those other platforms, I really appreciate you guys. But also, um, don't hesitate to head on over to Rumble once the stream gets over or whatever, and just head on over to Rumble and hit that follow button over in Rumble because it will not only will it let you guys know when you're live, but you can also download the Rumble app and you can basically just be watching myself on your phone or all that other stuff. I also am downloading the audio version of these if you happen to like miss me on Spotify. Just look up the Luke Boyd Show on Spotify. The audio will be um, uh, it won't be downloaded onto Spotify until like roughly just a little bit after the show gets over. So unfortunately, if you like miss me, it'll be an audio only on Spotify. So if you guys listen to podcasts and stuff like that, this is also on Spotify. So um, hopefully, fingers crossed, we can starting next week. Hopefully, we'll be streaming to even more platforms. Um, but we'll see. Um, Got to work out a couple of kinks and stuff like that, and probably we'll be having some different overlays as well going into next week. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Um, but Anyhow, if you guys are liking what I'm doing and whatnot, don't hesitate to head down into wherever you're at, either on YouTube or Rumble or Twitch, and hit that follow button or that subscribe button, and you'll be continuing to see me live. But not only continue to see me live, but also get notifications of when I am live. That way, you don't miss a second of this show. Um, but anyhow, um, I think that's pretty much it because the MLB season's coming into a close here. And then you got the NBA season that's just kind of kicking off here. Um, you know what? Let's look at the rankings for college football here, just because I have time. Oh, let's see. My personal opinion, I think, in terms of just looking at these right now, I think they're doing UW a little bit dirty, but they're on bye this week. You got Ohio State at number 1 playing against Penn State this weekend. I honestly hope both of these teams lose, but whatever. Um, let's see. You got Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, or excuse me, Oregon, Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, BYU, Miami, Notre Dame, Texas Tech. So I think probably a key matchup to watch for is Texas versus Vanderbilt this weekend. There's a potential that Texas is probably going to upset Vanderbilt, but who knows? Vanderbilt might actually be a good 9 seed coming into this weekend. Other than that, in terms of Okay, you got Oklahoma going into Tennessee. Look for that to be a key matchup as well, just because they're both top 25 teams. Um, I don't have a whole lot of insider knowledge of all these different college teams going into this weekend. Um, Mainly because I've only really been watching like really a couple of teams in terms of college football. So, and then I guess another key matchup: Cincinnati versus Utah. Um, Cincinnati going into Utah, so that might be one to watch too in terms of a potential upset Central. Um, I don't know. I mean, I think any of these games could really just be, toss up in favor of the underdog. So, um, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I got to cover for this one too. Can we take a look at this? Tampa named host city for 2029 CFP title game. That's nice. That was a while ago. New Orleans back to see it. New Orleans is going to be the host of the college football playoff title in 2028. Oh, this is 2029. Oh, oh, so that's not for this year. I was like, wow, that's a cool headline for this year. Never mind. Let's see. I guess how's the NHL looking for this year? How we looking? How we looking? Pretty competitive field. Where's the Kraken at? Ooh, Kraken's at top three in their conference division. I would say division. I'm gonna say division. That's a big one. Um, let's see. Is Discord gonna open up for me today? No, but it's not. That's cool. That's awesome. Gotta love it when things don't work for you. Also, happy Halloween, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I know I didn't show up in a costume today, unfortunately, but you know, I didn't really have a ton of time to really prepare for a costume per se. Um, I guess I'm me for Halloween. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of running out of. Is the WNBA? Is it? No, they just finished. They just finished playoffs. Didn't they just finish playoffs? Aren't they like in their off season or something like that? Let me just look at the WNBA next season next season start. Oh, so it's probably going to be May of 2026. Okay. All right. So I guess moving on to a different topic then, because I'm gonna try to figure out what I'm gonna need to talk about. So give me just like 30 seconds, chat, to try to. You people are dumb. Get out of the way of the car, stupid. Um, I don't like to see people just punching teachers for no reason. Okay. What in the world? The fuck? Um, Damn. All right. this person is an idiot. I don't know. As far as I'm aware, it sounds like the government is still shut down, which means which which means that it sounds like SNAP benefits are about to run out for people. Here's, as of right now, to my knowledge, with everything that is going on, with what I do for a living right now, it's not this, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. It isn't this. This is just, for me, at this point, it's for fun right now, is what I'm doing this for. But when it comes to Snap in general, I get it. You want to, how do I put this? You want to make sure that people that need something like Snap, like for the purpose of Snap, use Snap for what it's used for. There are a bunch of people, I don't know how many of the 42 million people that are on Snap are doing this, but for those of you that are on Snap right now and are abusing the system, in terms of, as far as I'm aware, Snap is really only supposed to be for you to be on it for maybe like a couple months to a year, and you have a job after that year is over. As far as I'm aware, there has been plenty of time for those of you that have been abusing the SNAP system to find yourself a job and get off of SNAP. Like, is this a hard take? If it's a hard take, I don't know what to say. But for those of you that have been abusing the system and SNAP and all that other stuff like that, and can very easily get yourself a job within the next few days, I don't know what to tell you. There, especially with the fact that, I mean, ever since the border crossings have gone down and the ICE agents are taking out illegal immigrants on the daily, there should be plenty of open opportunity and ample opportunity for American citizens to find jobs. Like, if you're on Snap and you're just using Snap to just, you know, in, in terms of not what it was intended to be used for, which is you're just using Snap just to use it and not do your due diligence and try to get a specific job so that you can, you know, do more than just barely have enough to feed your family. Like, what are we doing here? Like, you have had plenty of time before this scenario to run out for, I mean, granted, I don't know if they're actually going to fund Snap. I don't have all the details. But I'd be willing to bet you that for those of you that have had plenty of ample time to get yourself a job that you're perfectly capable of getting one. Like, I'm not saying that those that like just lost their job, that, you know, I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people that have been on it for years and years and years and years and years, which is not, as far as I'm aware, it's not the intent of Snap. Snap is really just supposed to be, okay, you have this for about a year so that you can get back on your feet once you get a job, and then you don't have to be on it anymore. Basically, for people that just lost their job and need something in terms of like a, you know, I guess in a sense, unemployment benefits, so to speak. to, you know, basically get by while you're trying to look for another job. I'm misinformed of what Snap is, which I probably am. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe maybe I'm getting misinformed in terms of what Snap is actually used for, and maybe this is supposed to be huge. You know, because I've never had to I've never had to apply for this, or nor have I been able to be willing to even be on it because, you know, of the jobs that I'm working right now. In terms of how much I'm getting paid, say I'm not gonna disclose how much I'm getting paid right now, but let's just say I'm a blue collar worker that is doing this on the side just for fun. And people that take advantage of the system, regardless of if you're, you know, trying to come into this country legally and stuff like that, and just stuff like this, it's an irk. It's an irk. Yeah. I guess with that, um, I kind of ran out of sports things to talk about. Let me see if I just refresh this real quick. Yeah, I don't really have a ton of information there. Um, um, let's get you know what? Let's get a breakdown of the top 5 NBA teams so far this season. Um, hmm. Let's do this. Let's do this. So in terms of top 5, can we just open this up in a new tab again and just go? How about voting in soon? Five Nights at Freddy's. Let's go NBA teams. Point guard tier list. We're doing low. Okay, so these are pretty close to the logos. Yeah, and we're only doing top 5. So in terms of the conversation, top 5 teams as of right now, my personal opinion, we're going to be looking at Chicago as one of them. We're going to be looking at the Thunder, the Spurs, and we're going to say Sixers. Should I say Bucks or should I say Nuggets? I think as of right now, I am going to say. Ooh, hold up. Oh, I didn't. Where's the 76ers? There we are. And then. Okay, so it's a toss up at 5 between the Bucks and the Nuggets. Which, for right now, any other teams with one loss? No. Okay, so. And then you got everybody else in the middle of the pack. So, top 5 teams as of right now coming into this weekend. This is weekend number 2 for the NBA. I don't know if this is a recency bias. I would have to put Thunder at number 1. Um, Main reason, you've got basically all of your key guys that came in from being, because they ended up winning it all last year, right? Yes. So you basically keep all the same guys that you had from last year. You bring them into this year. You're starting out the season undefeated. Like, in my personal opinion, in order for them to be down lower than number one, somebody's got to beat them. Somebody's got to beat them, and somebody's got to have a just as good of a record, if not better, than the Thunder to, you know, in my personal opinion, get them above the Thunder. Um, I might be putting this next team up a little bit too high. Um, but the way that these guys have been playing, I would say the Spurs are at number two. Just because you got Wemby having himself a season to start out. Um, and also the team is undefeated, so I would just hedge my bets and say the Spurs are number two right now. Not because um, not only because of Wimby, but just because the team as a whole has just been winning games and they just have yet to lose one so far this season. So, um, but yet, I think once the Spurs face the Thunder, that would be a game that I think, in my personal opinion, would hand the Spurs probably their first loss of the season. Um, this the next team that I probably would put at number three, even though they're undefeated, I would say probably the two teams above them would probably beat them kind of kind of soundly in a head-to-head matchup would be the Chicago Bulls. I mean, yes, they are playing solid um, basketball so far this season. They are undefeated so far. Um, they have they have played four games, won all four of them, but in terms of um, um, in my personal opinion, if a head-to-head matchup were to happen today, I don't have 100% confidence that the Bulls are going to beat the Spurs or the Thunder. But in a head-to-head matchup between the 76ers, this one to me is kind of where the toss-up is going to be. I would put the 76ers at 4 right now. Um, but I think it would be a good matchup. I think both of the stars from both of these teams, including Josh Giddey from the Bulls and Joel Embiid from the Sixers, are going to play very well, including Tyrese Maxey. Maybe I have the Sixers a little too low. Maybe the Sixers might find a way to beat the Chicago Bulls. But um, for right now, I'm just going to put them at 4. Um, that's basically where my argument right now is in terms of number 4. Um, I would say in terms of a head-to-head matchup right now between the Nuggets and the Bucks, I would say the Nuggets have the edge. Um, yeah, mainly because all of the Nuggets like star players on that team are super healthy. Um, yeah, I don't I don't really have too much else to say in terms of top 5. We're just gonna say in order. Um, Going from left to right. Yeah, but yeah, as of right now, as of today, going into the weekend for um, in terms of the NBA, in terms of what I see as NBA's top 5 teams right now, I would say the Thunder, the Spurs, the Bulls, the Sixers, and then the Nuggets. Um, Not just because of the record though, but because of the way that they have been playing in terms of a head-to-head matchup between the teams above them. Um, Granted, I would probably say in terms of a head-to-head, the Nuggets could probably beat both of these teams, but as of right now, with the record, with the way that they have been playing and whatnot, my personal opinion, I think that this is a solid top 5. Um, let's look at the reverse though in terms of the bottom five. Um, we're looking at, I would say, obviously the Pacers and the Nets to start. It's been a bad turnaround for the Pacers from the NBA Finals. I'm just saying that much right now. It's not looking pretty for them at all. And then you got the Suns, who've only found a way to win one. You got the Raptors and the Wizards. And then you got, let's see if I can do this blind without getting it wrong. I want to say the Trailblazers. No, it's the Kings and it's the Kings. But the Trailblazers have been playing a lot better than I thought that they have been. Is that six? That is six. Okay. So of those six teams, oh, there should be another one. Oh, the Pelicans. I forgot about the Pelicans. Thought I could forget about you, huh, Pelicans? Oh geez. In terms of the worst to the not as worse, I don't want to put the Pacers that low, but you could make a very strong case for why the Pacers are down at the bottom just because of how the turnover rate from when they showed up at the NBA Finals against the Oklahoma City Thunder to where they're at to start this season, it's a big drop. But in terms of a head-to-head matchup, though, I would say the Nets are probably, in my opinion, probably the worst team in the NBA right now. And then probably the Pelicans after that, and then probably the Pacers to follow. Um, Unless they start winning some games against some key teams, then I would, try to bump them up a little bit higher. But as of right now, I think this has to be the order there. Excuse me, I can't talk. Um, I would have to say that the Pacers are probably, in terms of a head-to-head matchup versus these teams, I would say could beat them. Um, let's see. I would say out of these next teams, even though they haven't been playing well, um, I would probably say the Kings and the Raptors would probably play a lot better in a head-to-head matchup against these other teams. So I don't think the Kings or the Raptors are going to be in this top five, even though they're kind of flirting for it here real quick. Um, so we'll see. But you know what? For shiz and giggles, I'm going to just put Wizards at 4, Suns at 5 in terms of worst to, I guess, not as bad. I can't spell. Worst to not as bad. From left to right in terms of top 5 worst teams in the NBA right now, you got the Nets, you got the Pelicans, you got the Pacers, you got the Wizards, and you got the Suns. In my opinion, going off of face value, from what I've seen from these teams to start out the season, it's not looking great for any of these teams to start out the season after about 4 or 5 games of play. This could turn around for a lot of these teams come later in the season, But as of right now, this is kind of what we're going for here. Um, yeah, I think I did a top 5 NFL team earlier in the season, or earlier in the week, I think, or to head into this weekend even. But I don't think I did a top 5 worst teams. Did okay, okay. Who else would I even put in here? Hang on. Let's go. Let's go conference real quick. One win and two win teams. Okay, so let me rearrange this a little bit. So these are not actually mediocre at best. I'm just gonna try to match up the one win and the two win teams together real quick, so I can do a comparison. Kind of like how I did with the NBA here. We're gonna try to make our top 5 worst teams in the NFL right now here, chat. Um, or should I say, ladies and gentlemen? So, give me just 1 second to organize these real quick. Um, so we got Saints, Titans, and Jets. We got Dolphins. Okay, so I knew that. Browns, Raiders. Shit, wrong screen. Shiz. Browns, Raiders. Cardinals and Giants. Oof. Oof. That is a big oof. All right, so yeah, okay, so the Jets somehow managed to beat. Who was it that they were able to beat? Was it a? Oh, it was the Bengals. That's right. Like, what the heck? They ended up beating, like, I wouldn't even say mediocre, just a confusing team. Bengals are so confusing, especially without Joe Burrow. My goodness. But anyhow, in terms of a head-to-head matchup, at least between these 3 teams, because they're all like one-win teams right now, I would. I would say it would probably go Jets and then Saints and then Titans. Um, mainly, yeah, mainly just because there's not a lot of um, um, just because there's not a lot. I I mean, it's obviously going to be a toss up between all 3 of these teams down below here, but yeah, I have no clue in terms of this any of these would be head-to-head matchups who is actually going to win. It's just a matchup of just bad football in my opinion. Um, but let's see. Um, I would say these next couple of teams that fall into this category, I'm not going to say wouldn't be able to beat the Giants or the Cardinals, but because I think the way that both the Giants and the Cardinals have been playing, they've just been falling short of the teams that they've been playing against. I don't think that they fall into the category of top 5 worst teams in the NFL right now. Um, Even though this weekend might end up proving me wrong, or if I just take a look at the schedule from these teams, let me just take a look from Arizona. They beat the Panthers and the Saints. So and they play the Cowboys this weekend. So I mean, if they beat the Cowboys this weekend, that's going to be a huge, in my personal opinion, that's going to be one of the main reasons why I wouldn't even put them in bottom five, just because the Cardinals can't find a way. Though they did lose to the Titans. They did lose to the Titans. Oh my gosh. Ah. You know what? Screw it. Screw it. Browns, you're not going to be in this bottom five. Give give me the Dolphins and the Cardinals. Oh my gosh. I wouldn't even say these. Oh my gosh. They're not even young and intriguing. They're just mid. I would just say these teams are just mid. Like, my goodness. And then I probably just put the rest of these in mediocre at best. Like, my goodness. But anyhow, that's my top five worst teams in the NFL, my top five worst teams in the NBA, and top five best teams in the NBA. Top five best teams in the NBA as of right now. 4 or 5 games into the season, you got the Thunder, you got the Spurs, you got the Bulls, you got the Sixers, and the Nuggets. Um, uh, Top five worst teams in the NBA right now after 4 or 5 games. You got the Nets, you got the Pelicans, you got the Pacers, you got the Wizards, you got the Suns, and then you got the top five um, worst teams in the NFL. You got the Jets, you got the Saints, you got the Titans, you got the Dolphins, and you got the Cardinals. So those are the top fives from today going into this weekend. With that being said, that is gonna basically do it um, for this live stream and this show today. Really appreciate all of you guys coming in and watching from wherever you guys are watching from. I'm gonna have some conversation with some people over the weekend and um, potentially be seeing some really good games over the weekend. Hopefully, you guys can catch all the good games this weekend. Hopefully, you guys stay safe over the weekend because, from what I hear, it's gonna be a rough weekend for grocery shopping. So, um, please stay safe. Please stay vigilant. Um, please keep everybody safe. Um, please don't be the people that are trying to, kind of cause trouble. Um, just everybody's in the same boat together. We're trying to, work all this out through the government shutdown and stuff like that. So, um, with that in mind, I would like to send you all off into the weekend with a prayer, if you would, as we begin in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord God, I'd like to thank you for another beautiful Friday. I'd like to thank you for um, sending all of us into the weekend here. Bless our time not only for myself but for the viewers that are watching this. Bless and keep them safe and guide their interactions with people that they meet throughout this weekend. Um, I'd like to ask for the intercession of the Virgin Mary as well to watch over every single person that is watching this and um, bless them and guide them in through the weekend. Um, as we pray, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the Father, and the Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. And once again, I forgot to switch over to the other overlay, but anyhow, once again, really appreciate all of you guys for popping in. Um, Episode 10 starting next week, so um, hopefully gonna have a good one for you guys on Monday. Hopefully gonna have some going to be working to potentially get some good overlays as well come Monday. Um, but anyhow, that's going to do it for this show today. I'm going to stop at like 9 minutes early just because I kind of ran out of topics. I'm kind of throwing some stuff out there in terms of what I'm doing. So, anyhow, if you are on all the other platforms other than Rumble, if you're on Twitch, if you're on YouTube, head on over to Rumble, look up the Luke Boyd Show on Rumble, go and hit the follow button. You'll be able to be notified of when I go live. Not only that, but you can download the Rumble app on your phone, your smartphone, your tablet, your TV, your smart TV. Um, you can basically do it on any device and be watching live and get notified of when I'm live every time that you see me live. Um, but anyhow, that's going to do it for the stream today. Really appreciate you guys watching. I will see you guys on Monday. You guys have a great weekend and stay safe, please, and thank you. Yeah, have a great weekend, you guys. I'll see you guys on Monday.